Welcome in, everybody. It is the fantasy cheat sheet. Yes, it is the regular season football playoffs, but we have to have a fantasy award show impromptu episode. But before we get into the awards and talk about some Monday night playoff action, let's hit the intro.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Like I said, it is the Fantasy Cheat Sheet Award Show. Jamie and Jordan, what is up, my guys?
I'm just enjoying the off season. Got my bank for all those championships I won. So getting ready for the rookies coming in.
Same, enjoying the off season. Not the playoff action as much. We'll talk a little bit about that, but just happy to come on here, the last show of the season, ready to have some fun.
Yes, last show of the season. We'll probably take a month and a half off and then get back to it in March. But before we get into the awards, because we have a lot of awards to go through, so we need to get right to those. But in honor of what we normally do, we will do the opening segment. Monday Night Football didn't turn out like we thought. I did think the Rams had a chance to win it, but I didn't think it was going to be like that. 27-9. Sam Darnold, 245, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. TJ Hawkinson led with 5 for 64 and 1 TD. Aaron Jones, 13 for 48. On the Rams side, 209 and 2 for Stafford, 16 for 76 for Kyron. Higbee, 5 for 58. Kyron had a tutty, and so did, who the heck was the other one? Davis Allen. And then I'm not going to bring up the defense right now because I have a feeling someone will. If not, we will bring that up. Jamie, what is a takeaway you have from the Rams-Vikings game?
It was a good game. I just did not expect the Vikings to get blown out like that. I bet the Vikings money line, but I also put a lot of money on Rams. I think plus 6.5, something like that. But the Kyron touchdown, man. I was in the chat on the show, and so they were saying they were going to bet the Kyron touchdown. I was like, well, I kind of want to bet that too, but I'm not going to because if I do, every time I have, he never hit it. So I was like, I'll do you a favor. I won't do it. But I put a 2 touchdown bet on him. So
God damn you.
When he got that first one, like early in the game, I'm like, oh, this is definitely going to hit. But nope, did not hit.
Jordan, what do you think about what is the takeaway for you, sir?
Sam Darnold, man, blew his chance at a big money. I felt like he had played his way to the end of the season for an opportunity to get huge money and maybe even make it even more confusing for the Vikings front office to decide what they wanted to do at quarterback. These last 2 games, the 2 biggest games of the year for them, he's kind of played subpar, to be kind. And then obviously, I didn't know the Rams defense had it in them like this. 9 sacks. Obviously, that was part of the reason why Darnold struggled. But yeah, just they asked Justin Jefferson after the game about did he want Darnold back, and he even said some stuff like he doesn't have any sway in who's the quarterback or whatever the case may be. But I just feel like he missed out on an opportunity, and now the Vikings quarterback situation is like up in the air for next year.
Okay, I'm going to make a wisecrack, and then I will get into my actual serious take about this game. Could Daniel Jones be the starter in 2025?
Oh,
okay,
no.
That's the wisecrack. That's the wisecrack, Jamie. That wasn't the serious talk. Jordan's face knew that was the wisecrack. Okay, I 100% agree with you about it's up in the air, all that. But I think too much blame is being put on Sam Darnold. That offensive line was god awful. The offensive line has been awful the last 2 games. We're all 3 of us are degenerates. I would say that me and Jamie might be a little more degenerate than Jordan. I'm already, as soon as we get off air here, I'm watching rookie film. So what's that tell you? I'm watching wide receiver film as we speak.
Yeah, I already did a mock draft for startup already for a podcast.
Oh yes. So yeah, I have to. It's bad. But the Vikings all season long lost 4 games. Week 6 and 7, they lost back-to-back. Lions, Rams. Week 18 and playoff, they lost back-to-back. Lions, Rams. The 4 games that Sam Darnold struggled, Lions, Rams. The other thing that people aren't talking about enough in this, and in my opinion, where did Kevin O'Connell coach before he was a Viking? Do you know, Jamie?
No, don't remember.
Jordan, tell him.
With the Rams.
He was quarterback's coach for Sean McVay. Sean McVay is going to end up being one of those coaches that has a big tree, but ends up beating his tree because he is smart as hell. Who did he beat in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago? The Cincinnati Bengals. Who was his offensive coordinator before he became the Bengals head coach? His name is the Bengals coach. So, yes, I do think that Darnold is getting a little too much blame, but I do understand your point, Jordan. My biggest takeaway is that defense. I think that in a couple of years, that defense is going to be money. And I think they're one step ahead of what people thought they would be post Donald. Jordan Verse, you got Braden Fisk, you got Bryant Young, Young. You got Spates at the linebacker core. You got Cameron Curl as a safety coming over from Washington and kicking rear end. So I think that the question is, and we'll go around the horn really quick, on a percentage chance, what's the percentage that they beat Philadelphia, Jamie?
30, 35.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'd say between 35 and 40%. If the Eagles play the way they played last Sunday, the Rams got a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the odds are plus 225 for Rams to win. So, I mean, I might actually take some action on that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question. Can that defense stop freaking Saquon? Because that is going to be the issue. All right, so it is time. Jordan brought it up to me when I messaged him about this. He's like, this is going to be exciting. I'm going to be honest. This guy, I'm waiting for him to go unhinged on a couple of these. I do not endorse and not responsible for anything he says after this moment. Some of these awards I'll be honest, Jamie came up with 80% of these awards, so to be scared. But some of these awards have a little bit of gratitude in how we came up with the winner. So we could totally disagree or we could agree. And none of us, I will preface by saying none of us know the other person's awards winners at all. Albert, what is up, my man? What's going on, Albert? Albert, feel free to chime in on how bad Jamie's awards are. All right, so we'll just go around the horn. I'll start with you, Jamie, on this one, and then the second award I'll start with Jordan and so forth. I might skip me a couple times. We'll see. All right, so I had it up. Now it's wanting to be stupid. All right. The Fantasy Troll Award for the player who was impossible to predict week to week. Jamie, tell me how you took this award and then give me your winner.
The Fantasy Troll Award. It's like a person that you didn't know if you could start on a week to week. And my award goes to Deebo Samuel. Like, dude, you got to like look at it. He had like a whole roller coaster of like unpredictability. He had a bunch of underwhelming games, and just he left managers confused and frustrated. Like, do I start him this week? Do I not? And like those who are counting on like that consistent production, especially where you drafted him, like you're disappointed, man. Weeks 11 through 15, he didn't even have a double-digit game in points. Then in week 16 in the fantasy playoffs, no one started him. He scores 27 points. So yeah, he trolled us the whole year.
Yeah,
All right.
I like
Sure.
that one. I definitely like that one. So I had originally had someone else, but I'll save that. I'm gonna go with Mike's boy, Jalen Waddle. Um, a lot of draft capital on this person, but Jesus, you never knew when to start him. Obviously, going into the season, we had high hopes for him. Had 16 in week 1, and then it was a bunch of single digits. Towards the end of the season, you didn't know whether to start. He dropped 20 points against the Jets. Then he was hurt. It was just a role. It's like you wanted to have that. Obviously, when Tua was hurt, you didn't start him. But when Tua came back and Tyreek Hill wasn't killing the way that we were used to him killing, so there was opportunities. It just, you never knew when you could count on. And he was like third round, second round, late second round, third round ADP. So to have that just sitting on your bench, it was terrible. I only had him thankfully on like one team, but he trolled the hell out of me all season.
Well, this is the first time of the night that I want to reach across and choke somebody, and it ain't Jamie. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Jordan, but it's too early in the night to do this to me. All right, so my fantasy troll of the, and like I said, we might have people that match throughout the night. Like there is a player that we were talking about earlier. I'm not going to say who it is. Me and Jamie are the only ones that know what player it is. But there is a player later on that me and Jamie both have that we don't know what award it is. It might be different. It might be the same. We have no clue. I want to preface, I should have said that. I know I said it between us. All right, so my troll of the year starts the year finishing as wide receiver 12. This is PPR. Then 17. Then 47. Then 140. Then 24. Then 50. And then 80. But everyone had him in their starting lineups because, Jamie, it's Deebo Samuel!
Oh, no way. Good job. Oh, there we go.
Yeah! Deebo Samuel is my troll. And like I said, me and Jamie had no clue. That's why as soon as he said Deebo, I went, oh, right off the rip. God dang it. All right. So, Jordan.
Oh, real quick. Albert, ETN, that is a good one.
There may be ETN later. All right. Jordan, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Okay.
I should have dropped him award. The player you held on to for too long.
I was sold a bill of goods on this guy that you can get late because of an injury, that he would come off the PUP list at some point and produce.
Damn it.
He had the promise he would be fully healthy, and then he played maybe 2 games and then missed the rest of the season again. And they'll probably have this same situation for us next year. Jonathan Brooks, I should have dropped him. I never should have drafted him in redraft leagues. And then around the time when he was supposed to come back originally, and they kept pushing it back, I should have dropped him at that point, but I held on to him, and then I finally ended up dropping him, like really when it was too late. So,
all right. So for my should have dropped player, his weekly finishes. He had a weekly finish of. Let's see where we're at here. Or am I looking at something wrong? There's no way this is right. You know what? I don't care about stats on this one. I really don't, because I need to go back on camera because I need to see these people's faces when I say this one. This person needed to be picked in some shape, form on this show. And there's a lot of awards, but some of these awards I didn't know where to fit this person in. And I got to admit guilt when guilt is to be had. You never hold on to a wide receiver who gets cut by 3 teams in one season. You do not hold on to a guy who gets cut by a team 4 days before their second playoff game. This is Deontay freaking Johnson. And he should be he could have been on this he could have been on the show for me for about 4 different things. But I had to save another guy for one. So Jordan, I am here to say it one last time for 2024. I was wrong.
So I'm gonna say this about Deontay. I don't. So yeah, it ended up working out like that. But honestly, with Andy Dalton, he looked pretty good. So it was a situation where I was gonna be wrong if it would have continued like that. But then once they traded him, then it kind of just went downhill like that.
It went to poop. He couldn't even do anything with the team without Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell.
I know the fact that they just decided to cut him. I'm like, why?
Well, I heard that he got in. I heard he was upset in the locker room, and Joe Mixon and so Joe Mixon had to calm him down, and Alshon's here. And Alshon's here. You have a guy who's been suspended for 3 games, have to calm a guy down. All right, Jamie. Who is your You should have dropped him award, sir?
Yeah, my award goes to Rome Odunze. Like the dude ended up as wide receiver 58. He played every game this season. Like he did have a few games that showed some flashes. That's probably why I couldn't drop him. But he was just hard to start, and I just kept him on my bench way too long. Like the dude's talented, and I'm not going to fade him next year. So I just felt like I held on to him way too long.
That's fair.
All right. So next award, I'm going to start with you, Jamie. The most disappointing player of the year, and I'm going to give the title that Jamie gave because it could be This is one that can go a couple different ways for everybody. This is for injury or overall performance or situation, not a bust, because there is a bust award later on.
Yep.
Jamie, take it away.
So my award goes to Brandon Ayuk because in 7 games he played, he had 4.8, 8.3, 9.8, 6.8. And then at this time, you're not starting him. The next week, he had 22.7. Nobody was starting him. And then after that, you put him back in your roster, and he got 5.7, and then finally ended with 4.3. So he finished as wide receiver 99, averaged, 8.8 points per game that he played, which was wide receiver 58. So while we were drafted him, early or probably mid-third, I think, right? Somewhere around the third round. Yeah. And that, to me, is a very disappointing player, only getting 1 startable game out of him.
Not disagreeing there.
Me either.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jordan.
Mine was Chris Olave. I know the concussions ended his season early, but even when he played, he just did not do what, he had a 100-yard game, but he's also had a 10-yard game, a 5-yard game, 11-yard game, and then the injuries ended his season. So you drafted this guy with a lot of capital, and it was just a disappointment. It looked like it showed flashes like what could have been. Then the injuries to the team, the injuries to himself, the lack of production in the games that he was healthy, just made him a disappointment to me.
Point team player of the year. I decided to take this one a little personal. Wide receiver 55 on the season and average points per game in PPR. Jalen, what are you doing to me, Waddle? Yes, it was an injury, but boy, you are a freaking disappointment. Jordan said everything else earlier. I'm just going to say, come on, man. As soon as you said Jalen Waddle, I go, oh, here we go. Because, oh, God. And then you said it was my boy. I'm like, all right, here we go. All right, Jordan, you're going to start this one. League winner, the player most responsible for carrying teams to the chip.
Let me make sure. Where did I put it? Okay,
Yeah, I know. I had to look too.
So I have been going back and forth with this, but I'm gonna settle with Jahmyr Gibbs. I felt like Gibbs was money in the fantasy playoffs. When Montgomery went down, he took it to another level. For people like me who had a league that went into week 18 for the playoffs for the championship, he scored like 40 to basically carry me home. But yeah, I'd say Gibbs was a stud, over 20 in the last like 4 weeks. Once the Montgomery injury happened, I was wondering how much they would use him, but they went all out with him. He balled, he smashed, and I know he carried some people to some chips.
Jamie, I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll give mine.
Okay, so my league winning award goes to no other than Mr. Baker Mayfield, because you have to consider, like, dude, we were drafting him as a low end QB2. He finished top 5. Like he must have carried people to the championships. I know he won a few of mine for me, just for that value and where he ended up. Here's a question. Fun fact. He joined the elite stat club of 4,500 yards, 40 plus touchdowns, and a 70% completion rate. Only 3 other quarterbacks have done this in the history of the NFL. Can you guess those 3?
Drew
What was the
Brees.
stat again?
4,500 yards, 40 plus touchdowns, and a 70% completion rate.
Drew Brees.
Yes, that is 1.
Aaron Rodgers.
That is 2. Wow.
Oh, shit.
One more, and he's a current player.
Mahomes?
Nope.
Oh, he is a current player.
He's got really nice hair.
Allen?
Nope.
Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. You got him all, man. Good job. Awesome.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my league winner, man, just for the value that we got him at.
For sure.
All right, so here's my league winner, and I'm going a little chalk on this one, and I don't care because this player brought me some money. That's why I'm going with this guy. This guy brought me money. He saved me in a couple of weeks because he's a stud. He's still in the real playoffs. He should have broke the rushing record, and I don't care if it's chalk or not. Give me Leap and Saquon Barkley. He was consistent in the playoff. He did great in weeks 15, 16, 17. He also did great the rest of the season. I mean, that 1 week I think it was in the playoffs. I think it was week 15 or 16. The week that JT went off, I had JT and Barkley in the lineup, and they both went off. And I would have lost if one of them didn't go off. So having Barkley in that saves me for that one. Jordan, Jamie, you're going to go first on this one. Playoff MVP.
Yeah, this is the player who dominated during the fantasy playoffs. My award goes to T. Higgins because he had 19.8 points in both weeks at week 15 and 16. Then in week 17, the championship, he was the number 1 overall scorer with 40.1 points. Like, guaranteed, if you had him on your roster like I did in a few, you won that league for sure.
I like that one. I was battling between him and the guy that I chose, Brian Thomas.
Ooh.
Brian Thomas had 32 points in week 15 against the Jets, 28 against the Raiders, and then 23 against Tennessee in the championship game. I mean, obviously he wasn't anybody's first, second, or maybe in some instances third receiver, so you were able to get him late, which means you built a really good team around him. He's in your flex spot most likely, and he smashed like that to help. So Brian Thomas, shout out to you, man. Mac Jones for throwing him the ball as well.
All
I'm
right.
sorry. I'm sorry. Mac and cheese.
Mac
My
and
fault.
cheese. Well, I went back and forth on this one. And now I'm kind of mad that I went with this person because I wanted to be unique, but I'm not unique. But I also needed to get this person on the show sheet. And this was the way I could get him on depending on how the show was going. And the other reason I wanted to say the other guy's name on top of it. With Mac and Cheese as your quarterback, and you pulled those numbers out of your rear end, it is all about Brian Thomas Jr. He kicked butt, rightfully so. There's a couple others that I wanted to bring. I mean, there's other people we could have brought up, but that's a great one, Jamie. Brian Thomas Jr. is a great one. There's a few. I mean, you could have even said Jahmyr Gibbs for MVP. So
Other one I was thinking.
all the players that we brought up for league winners and could have been brought up for MVP.
Well, it's funny because I almost went with Brian Thomas on this one, so we would have had a unanimous, all three of us.
Like I said, like when you asked me earlier, like, do you want to do this blind or not? I want to see what we get out of this. All right. So this is where I think it's going to start getting interesting. And we still have a few more. Where are we at time-wise? Oh, we're perfectly fine. We got time to slow down if we want. All right. Mr. Consistency. The player who delivered reliable points every week. Jordan, you're going to go first. And I think I might surprise someone on this one.
I went with an easy answer. Jamar Chase. I just felt like in the past, to me, it felt like Chase was like a boom guy. He was always one of the top receivers in fantasy. Like, I'm not gonna get it twisted, but he had consistent games. I mean, he had some 17s in there, 20s. I mean, he also dropped the 55s and the 45s, but for the most part, I felt like all year, outside of one game, was he in single digits for the season. And I felt like other than that, he was consistent, man. Just putting up good production when you needed him to. That's what you drafted him for, and he delivered on that for the most part.
Jamie, who is your Mr. Consistency?
I'm giving the award to Saquon Barkley. People faded him because of the whole tush push narrative, but he delivered on a weekly basis all year long. Like he averaged 21.6 carries per game. He was number one in the league, like second in goal line carries, number one in rushing yards, top 6 in rushing touchdowns. For running backs, he was number one overall, scoring 22.2 points per game on average.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you because he got me some chips, so there's no way I'm going to disagree with you. I do agree with you in the fact that there were people that were fading him a little bit because of the tush push narrative. How dare you? Because next year, if you do that, you're going to miss out on Saquon.
Oh, he's going to go top 3, top 5 for sure.
I'm not doing that again.
In redraft. Oh yeah, he's going top in redraft. Like, I mean, and that, yeah, and then you look at dynasty startups in redraft.
Oh, dynasty is my RB6.
RB6, I can see that.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah, I definitely can see him in the 6. I mean, he's definitely not my top. He's not my top 4 because I've had to debate my top 4 in a trade discussion. I've had to debate my top 4, trying to get a certain person that it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So,
real quick, can you guess my number 7 dynasty running back? I don't think you can.
Is it Kyron Williams?
It is Kyron Williams.
Wow. You made it too obvious.
Wow.
I mean, just look who's around him, though. I mean, that's the only reason.
I know. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, and don't get me started on broken forearm, Blake Corum. I'm not very happy about that either. All right, so I am going to the quarterback position, And the reason I want to preface it and wanted to throw out what position it was before I gave my take about my player for my Mr. Consistency is because I looked at this when I saw these stats. I looked at this through the narrative of Superflex, in the sense of a lot of leagues are going to Superflex. Most of my leagues are now Superflex, so I have to look at top 24, not just top 12. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. Now I can get into my argument because I know I'm going to have an argument. What I'm saying is someone's going to disagree with me. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10 finishes. Lowest finish of the season was QB 20. Finished as a top 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overall. Had the rest were, as QB2s. Had a QB 11, had a QB 15, a couple 15s, a couple 14s, 17, and like I said, the 120. The problem is that's pretty dang consistent. The problem with this player is this player was not drafted to be a Superflex QB. Even understanding that, this player was drafted to be a top 5 QB. Even though this player was drafted to be a top 5 QB, the numbers state that this guy was consistent, and by the second half of the year, you just took it on the chin and knew what you were getting. Yes, I am talking about Mr. Patrick Mahomes. I had to bring one Chief into this. By the end of, I had him in a couple leagues where I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm running him out there as my super flex, and if he does good, he does good. If he doesn't do good, well, I'm screwed. And then he goes out and goes as QB2, QB7 in championship week when I didn't have him in my lineup, because he was going against Pittsburgh. But so we're on to the next one. Yeah.
But no,
anything you want to say, Jamie?
Yeah, I was gonna say Mahomes. He was consistently bad most of the year.
He didn't. How was he? Okay. Yes, he was not great, but he's not bad.
Well, yeah,
He finishes QB 11.
I was just saying, I have a team with Baker, Mahomes, and Caleb, and I started benching Mahomes for Caleb.
I see that, but what I'm saying is, what also people don't realize is, hey, I can't believe he actually. I mean, I'm surprised too when I saw it. He actually finishes QB 11 on fantasy points per game.
Wow!
All right. So I'm going to go on the. I'm going to start on this one first.
Oh, okay.
Steal of the draft. The player drafted late who significantly outperformed their ADP.
I got a feeling we're all gonna have the same player.
I don't know, because there was like two or three. So I'll preface this on camera by saying there was like 2 or 3 that I was debating. So I think you might be right, but I think someone could have. I think the 2 players that I was debating, you might agree. All right, on 3, tell me what position. 1, 2, 3. Running back. All right. My ADP steal of the draft was Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
Are we all right?
That's what I had.
Jamie?
You're gonna have to wait and find out. It's my turn.
If we're all right, just say it. If we're not right, don't say it.
Yeah, no, it's Hubbard, man. I had a feeling.
I'll be honest. I put Hubbard in there about an hour ago. I had someone else in there.
Oh.
I had.
Who was your others? Who was your runner-up?
Chase Brown.
Yeah, I was thinking him, but Hubbard went like 2-3 rounds later, and he finished even better, I think, right?
Well, Fantasy Pros ADP had them one running back apart. On Sleeper ADP through Fantasy Pros.
What round were they going in?
Let's see. Hubbard was being drafted, if I remember correctly, around RB 40-ish, and it was like the 12th round, 137th overall. Is that sound
Hey,
about right?
I can't find it anymore on Fantasy
Here, hold
Pros. I lost it.
Here,
Well, I
I
looked
got it.
at my
I got
draft
it right
I
here.
did on Underdog.
I got it right here. I'm going through because I went through sleeper. I went through the ADP problem with, and I'm not saying you're wrong for doing it, Jamie. The problem with doing it through Underdog is you have ADP from April all the way through, where
True.
sleeper goes a little. You know what I mean? But sleeper had. Let me see right here because I have it right here. It doesn't say what round, but sleeper had. Oh, where are you at?
Had to have been around 140th.
Cheap sleeper had. I have it right here. Come on. No, this is just running backs. Sleeper had Chuba Hubbard at 43
Dang.
About right. Yeah.
and Chase Brown at 40.
Okay.
So they're three apart.
Yeah,
Anything more anyone else wants to say?
Yeah, I mean the dude, he had that huge game against the Cardinals, Week 16, and which is our semifinals. He rushed for like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, helping people win a championship. So that's why I put him in this category. And he also earned the NFC Offensive Player of the Week that week. And plus, the Panthers signed him to a 4-year extension. So that
That's
kind
what
of
that was my kicker.
yeah.
That was my kicker.
It just falls in line with what I said earlier about Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the dude rushed for, he had like 250 attempts, almost 1,200 yards. I think he was so close to 1,200 yards, which was, I think he was 8th in the NFL for yards. He had 10 touchdowns, which was 13th amongst running back. Like, dude, you can't get any better than that in the 12th, 13th round of your drafts.
exactly.
I did not think we'd all be the same on this one.
I
I'm
had a
shocked. I'm shocked.
feeling. Mhm.
I wouldn't have gone first if I would have known that. I would have let one of you guys get the
I think
victory.
Jacoby Myers could have been considered in this category just because of how late we got him and how good he did. But I had to go Hubbard.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
I mentioned this guy wasn't taken as late as them, but I put Lad McConkey on there because
Yeah.
I feel like he started getting faded a lot right before the season started, and he balled more than I anticipated.
Oh, I mean, there's another player. There's another player that I think we could have brought up, but I think he might get brought up later, so I don't want to bring him up for this category. Another young guy, but like you said about Ladd, like he could have been the same way. All right. Steal the draft. All right. I was wrong award.
God, this is fun.
Okay. A player you were completely wrong on, good or bad. And I put it this way because there is a swing and miss award, which is player you were all in on and let you down. So it's kind of the same, but it's different. So we're going to start with I was wrong award. A player you were completely wrong on, good or bad. Jamie, take it away.
All right. Do you guys remember our hot take show? And I said this guy is going to lead the league in targets, and he's going to be in every week starter, putting up top 12 numbers on a weekly, consistent basis. I said in 2025, we'll be drafting him probably around the 3rd round of drafts next year. Yeah, I was completely wrong on Deontay Johnson.
I knew it.
like you said earlier, he played on 3 different teams, and he just got released again recently. He wasn't even rosterable after the Panthers let him go. Like one of his last games on the Panthers, he had a 10 target game. He had 10 total targets the rest of the year after the Panthers released him. Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Jordan, before you give us your player of the year, I mean this award, I am giving you, since we're only at the 39-minute mark, and I know you're getting tired down there in Louisiana, I am giving you the floor one last time in 2024/25 season because you were right on Deontay Johnson, and me and Jamie were not.
Like I said earlier, though, I would love to take this victory lap, but I don't. I feel like it's like disqualified just because of the circumstances.
Okay.
Like I didn't think Bryce could put up the numbers with him like you guys were saying, and that was like my biggest argument
Yeah,
about.
it was your biggest argument. Yeah.
And so we never really got to see it. So I can't necessarily say y'all were wrong because the circumstances changed dramatically. But I don't
Understood.
think if Bryce would have stayed a quarterback that he would have done it, but we can't say for sure. So
Yeah. No
I'm gonna leave it at that. My God, that I was wrong, and I take the biggest L on this. This is worse than Tony Pollard last year. This is I was out almost completely out on MVP candidate, a guy who could have broke the rushing record. Like I was out on Saquon, and I was wrong, stupidly wrong. It was ridiculous how wrong I was on him. I think I drafted out of 25 leagues, I had him in like one because I was like passing on him, like purposely passing on, and I was just there were so many other awards I could have put him for, but I just had to like I was wrong, and I'm not gonna make that mistake with them again.
All right. So I went the same direction that you did on this one, like a player I was out on. And boy, was I wrong. I went on someone else's show and said this guy was going to be a bust, and I was wrong. Not necessarily a bust, as in like bust of the year, but like just not perform. I thought a rookie running back was going to come in and do good. And even though that rookie running back did perform a little bit throughout the year, and I have to make a public apology to the one and only Jordan, my man Arsenault, down below me. I apologize because I was wrong on James Cook. I was out on James Cook. I did not think he was going to do what he did, and he ended up finishing as running back 9 on the year in fantasy points per game through week 17. So I'm taking it because, like you did it with Barkley, I was wrong. I wish he was on my teams. I had him on one team, and I finished in second place. So what's that tell you? I should have had him more. Jamie, any thoughts on Barkley or Cook? Because I know you weren't out on either one. So
Yeah, no, I was actually on both of them. So I remember having an argument about.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, no, I remember having arguments in the. 'Cause I drafted James Cook in the Zombie League, and someone in the chat was arguing with me, and I was like, "Dude, I got him out like as RB 13 or 14." I was like, "He's a top 10 running back." So
all right. So this award is being renamed on the fly.
ooh.
And I'm only renaming this on the fly because I had an idea for this, but I didn't want to put it in the show sheet because I didn't want to get good or bad feedback. So the description of this award is a player you were the player you were all in on and let you down. This is an honorary of Jacoby Brissett. This is the honorary Jacoby Brissett Award. I said before the season started that we were getting him in the award show. So this is the honorary Jacoby Brissett Award show. Jordan, who is a player you swung and missed?
Garrett Wilson. I was high on him going in to the season, and like it was so because the complete opposite of Mr. Consistent. Like he was like damn near Debo Samuel territory. It felt like sometimes with the way that the ebbs and flows of it. The beginning of the year is like a lot of catches, but hardly any yards. And then he started to play decently. And then Devontae Adams came and he played well those first couple of games with Adams there. And then it went to they all sucked. It was a roller coaster. He ended up finishing the year with all of that as wide receiver 21 in points per game. It's not horrible, but I drafted this guy in the second round in a lot of leagues, and a lot of times that's my number one receiver. And so finishing outside the top 20 is disappointing. The way that it happened on a week to week basis, he didn't really win you hardly any weeks because he maybe had one or two blow up games. So it was just a lot of 17-point games, 14-point games. Just disappointing overall. And I was wrong. And I don't know if I can get back on the board with him as long as he's still with the Jets and they're the Jets.
So
Yeah,
I will
that's a hard one.
yeah. I'll preface it. He's not my guy, but this hurts. It does hurt. Like he was never. He's not my guy. My guy stood out, but for me, but I agree with you, and I wanted to preface saying what you said. I think I'm out in redraft. And I mean, if I have him in Dynasty, that's one thing, but I'm not looking to buy him in any league until he's not in a Jets uniform. Because not only do I don't trust, it's not that I don't trust the QB situation. I mean, which I don't. I don't trust the Jets.
Right.
I mean, we don't know who their quarterback. I mean, for God's sakes, their freaking owner is supposedly taking freaking advice from his trade advice from his freaking son on his freaking Madden. Like, I don't trust the Jets.
And
All
didn't
right.
Wilson have his first best games as soon as Adams went there?
Yep.
And that was crazy. Then he had a few blow up games, and then he just disappeared.
Well, they just didn't have. Well, my problem with Wilson with Adams is, I mean, we kind of said it. I think we all said it on the show before Will Adams got there. Is that it looked like Wilson needed another guy on the team to take. Like, he can't take all the coverage because then there's no one. Like, he was taking too much of the coverage, and then Rodgers wasn't doing anything with the ball, so there was nothing that the team could do in general.
Yeah, like he had two top two finishes and then a top five finish, and then everything else was outside of the top 15. He had another 18, but then it's like 27, 29, 30. Like the last couple of weeks in the playoffs, it was wide receiver 27, wide receiver 37, and wide receiver 25. Like that's not gonna get it done for a guy you drafted as early as we had to draft him.
Yep. So, Jamie, who is your swing and a Brissett?
Oh, this one hurts, man. This hurts my heart, but someone needs to put an APB out for this guy. Like, put his face on a milk carton just so we can find him because I don't know.
I'm curious who you're going to say.
And it's the Steelers' third-round rookie pick, Roman Wilson. I don't know what the heck happened, dude. Like, he just didn't show up. Like, he didn't even play one game this year. Like,
he got put on the IR.
He had a brief sighting. I think it was week 7 or 8. He showed up to practice, and then they just didn't play him. He just left the planet again. It's like, what the heck's going on with this guy? I don't understand. I'm upset.
I think you're going to go in other directions with that one, but I do understand your heartache because me and you both liked him. All right, so I have a feeling that if maybe both of you, but especially Jamie, talking to me all year, off season and everything, really thought about this one. He could probably pick which one this is for me. This person finished as in fantasy points per game 17th at their position. It is a 1Z position. Missed 5 games in the fantasy season. In week 1, he had 27.1 points, and I was on cloud 9. Then he finished with 12.9, 7.1, 5.2. If you haven't figured it out, yes, it's a quarterback. 8.8, 12.5, 28.1 in week 11, 13, then 23 again, 15, and then 21. So, yes, he had some really good games. He finishes QB 17. But why is this a swing and a miss? Have you figured out who it is yet, Jamie?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Why is it a swing and a miss? Because I said on air that Anthony Richardson had the upside to be a QB1 overall.
Yep.
I even wrote an article about it this offseason that he had the upside to be QB1 overall. I thought he'd for sure be top 10 QB. Yes, he was injured, and I was wrong. The other reason I was wrong, a couple of his wide receivers seem to have the Deontay Johnson effect. And what I mean by that is they do better when the backup's in.
Yeah.
And it's really bad when the backup that you do better with might be older than me and Jamie combined. Joe Fluco Flacco. So, yes, Anthony Richardson is my Jacoby Brissett swing and a miss.
I should have known that, man. I'm interested to see who you thought I should have went with in this award.
I don't know. You mean
Because-
this one or the next one?
Okay, because I was going to say, I drafted Roman Wilson in 18 dynasty leagues. I got him in the 15th round of every single one of my other leagues. I think I had a total
All I'm saying about Roman Wilson is the jury's not out.
Oh, I'm still on him. I'm not gonna.
Oh, I know you are. Here's the problem: when you draft him in that many dynasty leagues, you don't have a goddamn choice. All right, that is very true. All right, fantasy bust of the year. Who do you believe is the highest drafted player who did not meet expectations? It could go a few directions on this one. Jamie, take it away.
Okay, yeah, I could have had a bunch, but I ultimately ended up going with Dalton Kincaid. He was being drafted as a top 5 tight end, sometimes the 3rd, 4th overall tight end. He finished as tight end 26, and he did miss 3 games, but still he averaged tight end 20 points. He tied with Likely and Ferguson, and he was being drafted that high. So I'm giving it to Dalton Kincaid for bust of the year.
All righty, Jordan.
I'm going chalk with this, and this dude made me so mad. I've tried for years, not for years. I've never had the opportunity to draft this guy, and then I did this year, and it's Christian McCaffrey.
Not who I thought it was going to be, but okay.
It's Christian McCaffrey. The injury, yes, but then even he came and played for 3 games and then got hurt again. In one league, I was able to get him with the 7th pick, and I thought I was about to run the league, and then he never really did anything for me. So I'm just upset, but it's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I was gonna give it to him, but it wasn't our fault because they pulled the wool over our face, man. They didn't tell us about the freaking injury.
Right. I don't care. I'm still mad. It's Christian.
So since we could have gone way too many different directions on this one. You brought up CMC. I was thinking that. I knew someone might bring him up. Mr. Dark over here, Jamie. So maybe after I give mine, we can give another one if we think, if we have time, another one we thought of. Mine is a running back. It is someone that was drafted around, I can't remember the exact ADP. I believe he was in between RB5 and RB8, 9-ish. Problem is, this player didn't miss a game this year, but I don't remember seeing him on half the games he played. In average points per game, he finished with 8.7 points per game.
I know who this is.
He didn't. The highest game was 14.8. That was his only game under 14 points. He even had a game with 0.1 negative. In average points per game, he finished 0.2 points higher than his backup, who missed 2 games. I know he had a rough season. He doesn't have a coach anymore. But Travis Etienne, you suck.
I knew it. Shout out to Albert for the foreshadowing earlier.
Yeah, because that was his bust of the year too.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh crap! Like, I'll put it back up. Yeah, Albert says Etienne for me as bust of the year. Yes, that hurt. Etienne. I mean, I didn't have him in a lot, but I did have him in a few. I don't think he finished better. I can't remember what his best, but like I said, negative 0.1 in a game. Come on. Jamie, while you went away real quick, is there anyone? Because I know there's a lot. We all said there's a lot of people we could have picked. Yeah. Is there an honorary mention that did not get named that you want to throw out?
Yeah, honorary mention Marvin Harrison Jr. He was being drafted late first, early second, and this dude just wasn't even really rosterable if you look at it. I don't know.
Jordan.
I want to throw out Tariq Hill. I feel like he was the Dolphins in general, besides Achane, was disappointing. But I throw out Tariq Hill, Breece Hall, even though they didn't finish. They didn't finish 60th in their respective positions, but they were not what you expected when you drafted these guys in the first round. So
I think Tyreek finished in the 30s in points per game.
Yeah, that was bad. He was going in like top 6, 7 picks, drafts too. Yeah, it was like Cooper Kupp last year.
Yeah. So Tyreek was the other name. I was in between Tyreek and Etienne. The only other person that I want to bring up, and I want to bring this up partly because I do consider him a bust just according to where he was going. Not like you said where like, oh, he finished out of like the top 20 at QB. But we said at the beginning of the season, this channel, there's sometimes where, people on the internet will always tell you when you're wrong. Right? But they won't always tell you when you're right.
Yeah. They will never tell you when you're right.
There was a player in the offseason that the three of us, I know me and you, Jordan, we're agreeing on this about, especially in Dynasty, this guy's going too high. Get rid of him if people are willing to pay it. CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Yep,
we were right.
Yeah. I sold him as soon as people were like, I think it was 275 days ago. He was keep trade cuts QB1.
Yeah, he was.
And then that's when I sold all of my shares. Like, I still got a few of them, but I sold as many as I could.
Yeah. All right. So the next award, Waiver Wire Hero. Who is your superhero of the waiver wire, Jordan?
I'm gonna go with Bucky Irving. He in some instances was a league winner for a lot of people with the way that he closed out the season. He stole the role from under Rachaad White's nose, and he kept it. And then they started to use him more and more as the season went on. Closed out strong, won some people some championships. So yeah, Bucky Irving definitely was the guy for me.
Jamie?
I'm also going with Bucky Irving, man. He ended up as RB15. And after week 5, he was on everyone's rosters. Like, the smart people picked him up like week 3 or 4 before he actually like blew up when he was showing a little bit of shine. I actually know some of the Sharks that drafted him with like the last pick of their draft. So shout out Bucky Irving.
So I'm glad I pivoted because we would have had a sweep. I am taking a wide receiver who is now going to be the number 2 wide receiver on his team. And I mean that for the future. Except he decided to get into a fight his last game when he could have got a bonus money for an incentive. Jawan Jennings.
Oh, yeah. I thought of him too.
I think he was available. Yahoo had him available before week 1. I think Yahoo had him available in 76% of redraft. I know we play in some degenerate leagues where it's not that high, but still, Bucky was on my short list. You brought up earlier Baker. Baker was on that list. But I went with Juwan Jennings. When you brought up Lad McConkey, Jordan, and I said there was another rookie that could have been brought up, that's the one that I was considering was Bucky, but I had a feeling that he would go here.
Yeah.
My runner-up was Jacoby Myers too, because he had a pretty solid year.
Well, you also love Jacoby Myers.
Yes.
I don't really like Jacoby Myers. It's just he did good.
All right. So, comeback player of the year, a player that returned to form after a bad season or injury. Jamie.
Oh my god! So I did this before last night's game, but my award goes to Sam Darnold.
It's fine. It's fine.
Like, I mean, he bounced back from like the past year's struggles. He finished as QB8 on the season in fantasy football. Like, that's a big jump from his previous season's best, which was what, QB25 or 27. Like, he's come back in a big way to actually like be relevant in football again, and that's why I have him as my comeback player of the year.
All right.
So I put Josh Jacobs for mine. Jacobs, his last season in Las Vegas wasn't the best. Finished as RB28. I think around 13.9 points per game. He only played in 13 games. This year, RB6 in total points, RB8 in points per game at 17.2. Finished the season really strong. Actually instilled some confidence in me, drafted him next year, even with Marshawn Lloyd likely being healthy and AJ Dillon coming back from his neck injury or whatever. I like Josh Jacobs. I like him in this offense.
All right. So I went a little bit different direction. I know the guy that I went with, it is not injury related like your guys's. I went with the guy that was a rookie last year. So it is kind of hard to say, oh, it's, like a comeback or, after rookie season. But it was a rookie that we were all in on in rookie drafts, Jamie. It was a rookie that was sent to a little bit of a convoluted wide receiving core. So we were a little concerned, but everyone drafted him with high regard. And then he finished as wide receiver 48 last year, which is not good because if you're in a three wide receiver, he's either your flex or he's not playing. This year, he jumped all the way up to wide receiver 9 in PPR and wide receiver 10.5 PPR. I'm giving it to Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yes, love it.
It's hard for me. It was hard for me to do it because he was only a rookie last year, but and one of the people the short list of mine was Josh Jacobs because I was so out on him, and he was honestly Josh Jacobs was also a candidate for. I was wrong because I did not think that Josh Jacobs was going to do what he did. I mean, Jordan, me and you talked about this a lot. I thought they were going to miss Aaron Jones a lot more than they did. And unfortunately, I thought AJ Dillon was going to creep into that. And then he just decided, AJ's done. I don't think I think AJ's done I don't think he's going to have much fantasy relevance much longer. All right, we got 2 more to go. I know we're right at the hour. Started taking a little more time. Jordan, who is your Jamie wishes it was Roshan Johnson award? The most productive or impact rookie of the season.
Somebody who could have easily been on my I was wrong list, but it's that man Brock Bowers. The reason why I went with him over the other guys is tight end, man. That we always talked about all year the landscape and how terrible it was, but this dude was number one, 15 points per game, consistent at a position that's very scarce, gave people an advantage, and you didn't have to draft him early. You didn't have to draft him like Laporta. You didn't have to draft him like Trey McBride, and he was better than those guys significantly later. So you were able to have a really good team with him on top. Definitely Brock Bowers.
Jamie?
I'm also going with Brock Bowers. I love it because not only did he outproduce his ADP, that he was going around tight end 10. He finished as the number 1 overall tight end, and he
Yep.
broke the rookie wide
Reception.
receiver reception record, passing Puka. Like I know Neighbors was close. I think Neighbors missed 2 games and probably could have won it, but
No,
Bowers.
so Neighbors passed Puka, and
Yeah,
then
Neighbors passed Puka by 2?
then Browers passed Neighbors. So
Yeah, but if it wasn't for those 2 games
oh
Neighbors
yeah, he would
missed,
have
I
had it.
think he could have passed Bowers. But the fact is, Bowers has that record now. So, and I mean, doing it as a tight end and unimpressive offense, that's impressive to me. So I'm definitely going with Brock Bowers. The only thing is, they didn't use him as much in the run game like I thought he was. Next season, I could see this dude going late first, maybe late first of the 205 in regular redrafts.
If he's there at 205,
I'm smashing him.
no, I think I would almost put money on that he ain't there at 205.
Mhm.
I don't think he's gonna get. I think he's gonna get the Kelsey treatment where he gets drafted 111 to 202.
Yeah, that's where I'm seeing him go right now in mocks. But I have seen him fall to the 205. So
If you were to say, right, I literally thought there was another word coming into your mouth. If you literally just told me, I see him going there in best ball, I was gonna flip the lid. All right. So do I give my real award or do I pivot? You guys pick.
The real.
yeah, skip the real man. Who's the best
All
rookie?
right. The real one that I have written down, I'm going to say it the way I've said it for 3 years, boys. He's a Raider. Brock freaking Bowers. I don't need to add anything more besides the fact of all the stats that you guys brought up, the record, the fact, and the key part, the other key reason I put him as my rookie of the year is because he's a god dang tight end. I will say that the one that I was choosing between was him and Jaden.
I was going to go Jaden too, but
it was either him or Jaden to me. Don't get me wrong, I love BTJ. I needed to get him on the show sheet, but it was either him or Jaden. Jaden didn't finish as a top 5 wide receiver. I mean, I know it's a casual league, but in my work league, he was my first quarterback I drafted, and I drafted after 2 guys had backups.
Yeah, and I was all over.
Let's just say that. So, yeah, I mean, and I drafted him over, I drafted him in rookie draft, so I'm happy. But yes, Brock Bowers is a man. Now, please don't have the regression that some other tight ends have had after good rookie seasons. Because if you do, I'll drive to freaking Las Vegas and cheer for the Chiefs right in front of you.
Now just imagine if he had an actual good quarterback playing.
He might and may.
Yeah, we'll see.
He might and may, or depending what they do in March during who knows what Brady's got up his sleeve. We'll see. Alrighty. It is time. It is MVP. We could have dissected this award a couple different ways. So, Jordan, I'm letting you have the floor. Take it away, sir.
So I have 2 people on this list. Interestingly enough, they're both quarterbacks, but I guess I'm gonna go with one guy who may not have gotten picked. We mentioned him just in this last award, but I'm gonna go with Jaden Daniels. The reason why I'm going with Jaden is just because the same reasons, we didn't have to take him early. He was a guy that was going in a lot of drafts, 9th round, 10th round, even later sometimes. So you had a good team around him, and then he was a lot of people's second quarterback. So then you could have had him traded the first for some extra pieces or whatever the case may be. And he balled. He missed. He didn't even really miss time. He had a lull in the season at one point early on after a hot start, but then he got it back together. And the fantasy playoffs was a stud. Yeah, I'm gonna say the teams that had him went far just because of where you could draft him at and the production that he was providing for that space.
I love
Jamie.
that, man. I mean, just he could be rookie of the year. He could have been all these other categories, but putting him as MVP, I love that, man. Jaden Daniels all the way. For me, I am going for my MVP, Jamar Chase. Dude had an outstanding season. I remember at one point in the off season, he actually fell in drafts because people were worried about something with his contract. I think.
Yes.
He said he was holding out. He was holding out at one point.
Yeah. So like I was getting him at like the 6th, 7th, 8th pick of the draft, and I just okay, give me the championship. The dude had an outstanding season, like several games over 40 PPR points. Like he dominated like during the playoffs, and guaranteed he was a key player for many teams' victories, and that's why I have him as my fantasy MVP.
I just want to point out in the league that I mentioned earlier that I drafted CMC, I drafted him over Jamar Chase and Saquon. So
Well, I know
just,
Saquon was going later, like maybe even like a half a round later, anyway.
but
So, but
yeah,
oh man,
yeah. Anyway, well, who's yours, Mike?
All right, so great minds think alike.
well, it's not my mind.
Weirdos actually link up every once in a while because my MVP was given out on YouTube and Twitter today. On the thumbnail, my MVP is Jamar Chase. He averaged 4 points a game more than Justin Jefferson, who was number 2. He had the biggest gap. But I will say this because Jamie had already said a bunch and you said what you said, Jordan. I considered it. I considered Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Purely for because of some of the stuff that you said about, I mean, if we really wanted to, we could have considered Brock for the same reasons. So there was a bunch of players in that grouping that we could have used. But yeah, it's Jamar Chase. And
I
bada bing,
had
bada boom.
I had Lamar as kind of like somebody that I was thinking about on a short list just because Lamar was awesome all year.
Oh yeah, Lamar got me. Lamar got me all the way to where I got in SFB. I mean,
Same
for
with me.
God's sakes, he's the him. I mean, I know I didn't go as far as I wanted to at the end, but him and Derrick Henry are the reasons I was at 18th in 1 point.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, you let me down. Is there any other players that you guys want to bring up? Anything you guys want to bring up before we head on out?
Yeah, I want to bring up the MVP of the show, Mike's beard. Obviously, someone shouted it out in the chat. Love Mike's
Hey.
beard, and it deserves the cheat sheets MVP.
Jordan.
No, I think we covered everybody. Well, no, I just got to do this just because I have to. I want to give a shout out to Joe Mixon, who proved me right for a portion of the season before injuries kind of started to take over. But yeah, him and HN, they were some of my guys. They
I
came
have
through.
one. I want to bring up in a sec. But Jamie, I'm giving you the floor right now.
For what?
But it's you get one player to gloat about, but not 8 because you have a list of 60.
One
So,
player to gloat about.
like one player you want to say you're like Jordan just did. But I'm saying you have a list of like 80 my guys at the beginning of every year. So I can't let you talk about your list.
Oh,
There's one player you want to say like I'm right.
He don't have a list anymore because he at every turn he's pointed out that I've.
I know.
I do want to say, remember during our bold or hot take show, I said Derrick Henry will lead all running backs with 17 touchdowns. I know he only had 16 and he tied for first, but that kind of has to have I was right kind of
No,
vibe
you
to
do.
it.
Okay, no, you're right. But Jordan, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Didn't someone say something about Daniel Jones on that same show?
he did.
Yeah, and I was like right up until
He
he.
tried to justify this already.
Well, yeah, because he was top 15. When he played, he was top 15.
we've heard this already.
Yeah, we don't need to bring that up again.
Okay. So the player that I want to bring up, I'm bringing up because I was right, but more importantly, the show was right. All three of us were right. Jordan was right. Jamie was right. I was right. Terry McLaurin, you are a man.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one.
You are a man.
I
You
did
needed
say
a quarterback. You got a quarterback. Well deserved, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, I did say he was going to be a top 12. Did I say top 12 or top 10?
We all said I think
Yeah.
we all had him we all had him teed up for bold prediction.
Yep. My
I
Rasheed
will
Rice,
say,
my Rasheed
yeah.
Rice take would have been golden.
Would have been if
Oh
freaking
my
Patrick
God,
Mahomes.
yes.
If Patrick Mahomes didn't spear him in the back of the knee, he pulled the Roman Reigns on the back of his knee. All right. This was a great season. I am not ready for the show to be over, but I know it needs to be. I got to eat in a minute. Jordan's already 10. It's almost 11 o'clock where Jordan's at. It's like almost midnight where Jamie's at.
Oh, shit. No, it's almost 11.
Almost 11. I'm a little off. For Jordan,
Nervous there for a
for
minute.
Jamie, I am Mike. Have a nice night, everyone, and peace out.